Hey everyone, welcome back to World Ocean Day for Schools. I'm very, very excited to have a special guest. Dana is here with us. Dana is the Ocean Rights Defender. I am so excited to learn more about the work that you're doing. But maybe before we get started, you can tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, where you are right now, and then we'll start getting into some questions.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Dana. I'm an ocean law researcher, ocean rights defender, and also an educator. And I'm Egyptian. I'm currently in Glasgow, which is where I study. I'm completing my degree in law. I actually am graduating in 3 weeks, which is exciting. But yeah, do I get to explain as well what I do in simpler
Yes,
terms?
do
Okay.
it.
Okay, so this basically means this whole ocean law researcher and everything. It means I spend a lot of my time learning about the rules and the policies that protect the ocean, but also protect the people on the ocean and also the people who depend on the ocean, which is all of us technically. I work with communities, schools, scientists, policymakers, decision makers, lawyers, of course, to help solve all the problems that the ocean is facing, from plastic pollution to protecting coral reefs and marine life. But I kind of do that in a very transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary way. I engage the arts and, of course, the law and science and education and all of that combined and kind of engage with something called ocean rights, which is just giving the ocean the rights that it deserves.
Wow, such an interesting career choice. This is going to start with the first question. What made you want to become an ocean lawyer? Like, what made you want to study this in this area?
Well, first of all, it kind of started off as I was quite spiritually kind of connected to the ocean because of my family, but also I grew up on an island in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates. But going back to my family was kind of the main reason. My grandfather, his name is Asfour, which means bird in Arabic, and it's also who my organization is named after and inspired by. He really loved the water and he loved the Red Sea, and I remember as well how he would speak to the Red Sea when I was a little girl. So kind of I grew up really believing that the water and the ocean is this alive being that is so important in our lives. And but I really didn't know and think much about what I can do to protect it myself. I didn't know what existed. So I didn't know that a career in ocean rights was really a thing. But I knew that I was quite good at speaking and writing and debating. So I knew that going into law as a general field was something that I was interested in, kind of in high school about that time. But I was also interested in other careers as well. So I decided to take a gap year and to see what I really wanted to do. And I spoke a lot to my family and got a bunch of different perspectives. And I spent so much time in the Red Sea and in Sinai in that gap year, practically lived there. And until I got the opportunity to go to the UN Ocean Conference at 17, which was in Lisbon at the time. And that piqued my interest in ocean rights because I saw so many gray kind of areas, both in how the ocean is protected or was protected, but also who gets to make these decisions and who gets to represent the rights of the ocean. There was this huge gap. So these gaps very much still exist. They're not fixed problems, but I really wanted to learn more. So I did my research and I discovered this area called Law of the Sea. And that's when I started as well my law degree at university. And as I was learning about the basics of the law, I was also simultaneously going to these policy spaces, to COPs, to panels, to court sessions, learning about the law and why does the law not protect the ocean and what it should be, kind of reimagining what the law should be. And that's when kind of the role of ocean rights really entered in my life. I'm not an expert, I'm still learning every day, but this is how I kind of was interested and how I got into the field.
It's super cool. There's a really good question here which says, if the Red Sea could talk, what do you think it would ask for?
That's a really interesting question. Um, I think the Red Sea would say to listen, which is very, very basic, I think. And I'm sure so many other seas would also say the same thing. But I think that one of the main problems that the Red Sea is facing is that people don't really treat it as a living being. And it very much is so. It just
Mm.
needs you to listen. And because it's not being treated as a living being, people take more than they need. People misinterpret things as well, thinking that it should be a completely no-take zone, and that kind of goes against as well Bedouin culture, indigenous people, and their needs. So I think that if we were to just sit down with the ocean and listen to the Red Sea and what it actually needs and what it is saying. It's not going against us. We're not enemies. We just need to be friends and understand each other. I think that's what it would ask for.
Oh, I love that. This next question comes from the Culloden Academy in Scotland. This is a really good and a really hard question. So
Oh,
they're asking if the ocean could choose one law that every country in the world should follow, what do you think it should be, and how would that change the way people live? No
God.
pressure, Anna.
Okay. Oh, I have a couple, but I'm gonna say one that's a little bit technical just because I wrote my thesis on this. I did a lot of
Okay.
research on this. Um, I think it would be to protect or to call international law to place kind of laws and rights of protecting ecosystems that are within national jurisdictions because and that means that they're basically controlled or they are within the waters that are controlled by countries. So there's this
Yeah.
thing called national jurisdiction, there's international waters, which are the high seas, and no country controls it. Right now, international law only kind of protects ecosystems like the deep sea, and of course they're so important, but they're only protecting like ecosystems that are in international waters, but ecosystems that still have that universal significance, like the Red Sea coral reefs, which are the last surviving coral reefs in the world. They have potential of producing life-serving medicinals that are capable of actually treating cancer and AIDS, but yet they are not treated as an ecosystem with universal significance. Instead, it is still under the local protection of Egyptian law, which doesn't actually recognize how much it is important for humanity as a whole. And international law doesn't seem to also protect them that way. So protection is very limited. So I think that there are so many other ecosystems like the Great Barrier Reef in Australia or even in New Zealand and the Wanganui River. I mean, it's not an ocean, but it's still a river and it's still water. And it's so important universally. And there are so many marine animals and species that are migratory and they transcend national borders. The ocean has no borders. So I think that it should be protected internationally. I think that's what the ocean needs right now. And if we were to actually integrate that with an international law, we would be in a totally different place, I think.
Hmm. Okay, that's what we're all working towards. This was a great answer. I have a question from St. Thomas's Primary in the UK. What is your favorite species of coral?
Fire corals. I mean, how could I choose anything different? I mean, I know that underwater sometimes they seem a little bit scary because they always tell you do not get close to them, it will sting you. But they're also endangered in the Red Sea, but they're so beautiful and they're so vibrant. And I think to me, they represent the Red Sea. When I think of the Red Sea, I think of parrotfish and fire corals. So they're my favorite.
Awesome. I have a question from Willow class. What do you think our ocean will be like in the future? Oof.
Oh, this is the one question where I have to say I'm not sure. Because it really depends on all the schools watching now, and it depends on our future generations whether they would want to carry out like the good work and they want to fight the good fight and continue fighting for justice and listen to the ocean, or we choose to kind of push it to the side. I hope it's not the latter, but each of these different kind of things that we choose to do will ultimately decide what the ocean will look like in the future. But I do hope that we do choose to fight the good fight.
Ah, there we go. Dana, I think you're back.
Oh, sorry, did I cut off?
Yep. Go
Oh,
again. Sorry.
okay. I was saying that I'm not sure, but I was saying that as well that um I think it depends on the future generation and hopefully the schools that are watching now. It depends on what we choose to do and whether we choose to fight the good fight, which I hope that we do. But also, if we choose to not to, then obviously this will drag not the case. Future
Yeah.
is looking bright currently. I mean, we have Gen Z and hopefully as well, like other generations too, working to protect the ocean. I hope that that continues on. And if that's the case, then I'm very optimistic. But ultimately, it goes back to you. And I think that decision, or that the answer to that question, I think, is I'm gonna mirror it back.
Nice. And I think it's really cool. Like, I think one of the things we've been noticing today as we've been going through all our like Q&As with different experts is that there's so many different ways to get involved, and there's so many different career paths that maybe people didn't imagine were to do with the ocean. And definitely law and going to university and studying law is not something that people would necessarily think is a great way to protect the ocean. And you're such good proof that it is.
Yeah.
I have another question for you. This one is, what do local communities know about the ocean that scientists don't? This is a great question.
Oh, it's a very, very good question. Um, I think that each ocean is kind of different when it comes to how much we take and how much we give back.
Yeah.
So I think scientists may not necessarily understand. I mean, obviously there's obviously limits to every ocean and limits to every community, but I think it's the local community that actually knows and understands how to use these resources and how much they can take. There's again, always there are limits scientifically and barriers and borders, but I think we also have to ultimately go back to the community and ask how much can the ocean actually survive off of, or how much can the ocean actually tolerate when trying to accommodate the community's needs and the local indigenous communities' asks.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. This is from St. Thomas's Primary again. This is a great question. Is it scary knowing millions of people will be watching you stand up for the environment?
Yes, it's so scary. But I think that one thing that kind of really helps ground me is that I spend a lot of time back in my community and I spend a lot of time with my family, and I get a lot of my answer and a lot of my kind of trust, I think, in the future that my words will not be um like thrown in the trash, or they won't be like taken or mistaken for the wrong thing, because I know that I am fighting for justice and I know exactly who I'm protecting as well. And I always also think back about David Attenborough's quote, like children who don't grow up knowing about nature, they won't understand it. And if they don't understand it, they won't be able to protect it. And this is why transdisciplinarity in law is really, really important, because to get people to understand the ocean is that you have to engage all of these different disciplines, the sciences, the arts, the law, politics, psychology, all of that. Once it's engaged, a lot of people will be able to actually understand the ocean's needs. And once they do understand it, they will ultimately agree with you, because we are all on the same boat. We all want to protect the ocean. We all want to have a future. So yes, it is scary, but also I know deep down that we're all on the same boat and we're all fighting the same fight. Maybe we don't speak the same language, or maybe we don't have exactly the same background, but ultimately you agree with me. Ultimately, we all want this. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so I have time for like one more thing, and actually, I'm gonna go sideways a little bit because, as well as being an ocean rights defender, you also do something very cool with puppets. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering whether you could tell us about that because I think this is amazing.
Can I show you a puppet?
Yes, please do.
So this is Asfour, and he's wearing a cape.
Amazing.
He's a lawyer, as you can tell. So this is Asfour. He's a whale and he's our lawyer. But basically, I have an organization called the Asfour Initiative, and as I said, Asfour means bird in Arabic, and I try to integrate a lot of that, a lot of the spirit of the bird, and a lot of my work. And that we travel to all of these different communities and we speak to a whole set of children all over the world. I mean, I'm right now doing a little bit of Asfour work here. Um,
Nice.
and speaking to all of you guys. So yes, and what we do is that we crochet these puppets. They're crocheted by local Bedouin women in Sinai on the Red Sea coast, and they're stuffed. I mean, you can't. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's a bit crunchy because
Okay.
it's stuffed with plastic that's collected by local fishermen. Where actually there was a law that was passed that banned commercial fishing, and that also affected the local community because they weren't able to fish
Mm,
anymore for their families. So instead, we kind of tried to integrate a circular economic model where they fish for plastic. And we use this plastic to stuff it in these dolls. And then we perform puppet shows where we teach about all of these different legal topics, but we remove the jargon out of it so that it's understood by a wider array of an audience. But we talk about common concern of humankind, obviously the UN Declaration of Ocean Rights, the UN Ocean Decade, even deep seabed mining and plastic pollution and coral reefs, but it's a lot of it is actually in the law. We even explain certain case law that has created a lot of impact in the ocean law world to children. So it's very, very fun, open to all audiences, of course. Eventually, we want to kind of have also these puppet shows published somewhere where all children can also watch it. But at the moment, it's being performed in local communities and specifically in Sinai.
Maybe we need to bring you back next World Ocean Day for Schools and you can do a global
Yes,
streaming
we
puppet
should.
show. That would be so cool.
That would be so fun.
Dana, thank you so much. We are
Thank
out
you.
of time. It's been so lovely talking to you about, and I think your work is so interesting, and I really hope that lots of people are listening today and thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that I could do that job and protect the ocean at the same time. So
Oh,
it's
I
so,
hope
so
so.
cool.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Have a lovely rest of your World Ocean Day,
You too.
and we will speak to you again soon. Thank you for showing us the puppets.
Thank you.
Bye.